I'm ready. Good evening and welcome everyone to this special closed session of the Solvang City Council for Monday, August 8, 2022. Call the meeting to order at 6:02. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Infante.
Here.
Councilmember Arona.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Mayor Urick.
Here. Councilmember Infante, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Good, stand, hand over your heart, and we'll start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have no COVID tonight.
Thank you. Is there public communications? Madam Clerk, would you please read the admonition just about the public communications?
This section is intended to provide members of the public with the opportunity to comment on closed session items. Each speaker will be afforded 3 minutes and may speak only once.
Thank you. Is there anyone in-house that wishes to speak? Seeing none, take it out to Zoom. I'm not seeing anyone on Zoom either. So with that, we can recess to closed session. Council, would you please read the item?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, City Council will meet in closed session with its conference with labor negotiator agency negotiators, the city manager. The employee organization is Teamsters Union Local 986.
Great. We'll adjourn right now at 6:04. All right, call the meeting back to order at 6:30. Council, would you please?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The City Council met in closed session pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Conference with labor negotiator. Agency negotiator was the city manager, and the employee organization was Teamsters Union Local 986. There was no reportable action.
I now close the meeting. Adjourned, 6:30 and a half. All right, you ready? Just go right into that. All right, everybody, good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Solvang City Council for Monday, August 8th, 2022. And now call the meeting to order at 6:31. Madam Clerk, would you please take the roll?
Councilmember Clark.
I'm here.
Mayor Pro Tem Infante.
Here.
Councilmember Arona.
Here.
Councilmember Thomas.
Here.
Mayor Urick.
Here. And Councilmember Arona, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Yes, everybody please stand up. Hand it right hard. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Thank you very much. Moving on to next item. Madam City Manager, did you want to handle this part?
Yes, thank you, Mayor and Council. We have a couple of wonderful awards to present today. The first one will be for years of service, and we have with us Nick Rivera from Wastewater Management, receiving his 10-year award. So Nick has been a very valued part of a very close team for the wastewater management and the city overall. We've definitely appreciated everything that he has done over the last 10 years. He's also been a wonderful help in stepping up over the last year, talking about the rate study and all of the infrastructure needs that they deal with on a daily basis. So we thank Nick. I see that there's family here for Nick, so if you want to maybe step up, come up, take a photo with us. Unfortunately, as much as we thank Nick and his family and everybody's contributions, Nick has decided to move on to another city for family reasons. So we just had a barbecue for Nick last week. It was really wonderful to get together, but this would be the last week for Nick here. So thank you for being here today and for 10 years of service.
Thank you. Thank you very much for this. It's been a ride, to say the least. There's been ups and downs, as there is everywhere, you know. It was a hard decision, but ultimately family comes first, and just kind of the way things have gone, it's a financial thing, you know. It's hard to sustain a family here, and so I decided to move elsewhere. But thank you to the city and everybody for allowing me to be here and get the education to be able to move on and you know, pursue the career of wastewater elsewhere. So thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nick.
You want to take a photo real quick, Nick?
Oh, yeah.
And
Go ahead.
Everybody.
Get the whole gang in.
1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Hey, Nick, where are you off to?
No.
Murphy's, California.
Oh, good luck. I'll be damned. Yeah, that's what he said.
Okay. So next up, we have an employee of the quarter. Sofia Czechos is one of our newest additions to the city. She's the assistant planner, and she was nominated as employee of the quarter for having stepped up and having worked in the department now for almost a year without a planning director, and having made lots of improvements and being a great team member. So Sofia is the fourth employee of the quarter employee since we started the program. completing the year of that. So congratulations to you. Thank you. You want to take a photo together?
Not bad for a University of Texas grad.
One, two, three. One, this way. There we go, 1, 2.
Had to give her some crap because I went to Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. Thank you.
Huh? Oh, did you really? Oh, Aggie. Oh, my God. I didn't know that. Yeah, well, I didn't graduate Tech. I went to UT El Paso is where I graduated. UT is.
All right, moving on. Madam Clerk, would you please read the admonition about public communications?
The council welcomes your input. At this time, you may address the council on items not on the agenda and on consent. Time limit is 3 minutes. We will start with in-person public comments first.
All right, is there anyone? Yes, please speak into the microphone. Is there anyone in the audience right now that wishes, I don't have any speaker slips, wishing to have public comment at this time? Nick?
Mr. Mayor, Council, again, thank you so much for presenting me with the award tonight. Means a lot. With that being said, I know that there's things going on, talks as far as, labor talks. I hope that the council will consider what's being presented. Times are hard, and, it's really expensive to live here. And, me being here 10 years, living here for 29, it's a hard decision to move, but it's something that had to be made. And I know that, there's a lot of hardworking guys that are from here that may be looking the same if things don't happen to help out. So, thank you.
Right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to have public comment at this time? Seeing none, and I don't see any out in Zoom. Am I not seeing anything? For a reason. It's not out in Zoom. All right, moving on to the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have a fairly brief report today. We spent a little bit of time talking about various projects and updating on that last time, which we'll continue to do on quarterly basis based on the comments from the last council meeting, but I won't take everybody's time up on reporting on those projects every day. So I will dive into just some of the updates that are timely right now to alert everybody's attention. The state of the city is being planned as we speak. I was at the facility with the chamber today. We want to remind everybody that there's seats available still. Please go to the chamber to get your tickets for the luncheon to be able to attend the State of the City 2022. It will be taking place on Wednesday, August 24th. At 11:30 a.m. is when the program is going to start. So actually arrival would be a little bit earlier at 11 a.m. and that's at the Hotel Cork. So inviting everybody from the community to join us at this event. Also want to remind everybody that the survey is still open right now. It's available online, and people also received some emails today for the Downtown European Plaza discussion. This is being considered as part of the general plan update. So we're receiving comments right now, which will be brought to council for general direction. And then we'll continue the discussion through the general plan update and whether or not the community would want to see a project, a conceptual project like that, included as part of the general plan update, which then at some point could transform into a project that would move forward.
Zena, sorry
Yes.
to interrupt. Just related to that particular item, I heard that that was posted by the city on SYV chat, and the link is not working. I had some people already contact me about the link not working.
I'm getting the same thing right now, that the link isn't working on the video, and it's not coming across on channel 23.
I'll double check that. We post on the city's website versus on SYV chat. SYV chat might be a follow to our original post, but I will definitely
double check that it's,
No, I'm talking about the video link on the website. Our
Oh.
website right now doesn't work.
okay. If we can check on our video website and channel 23 is not working?
It is. It's a major problem. I'm really pissed, actually. Sorry. Excuse me. Peeved. Thank you. That was the
Upset.
word.
Upset.
We'll continue to work on that. I assume there's at least video being recorded. Channel 23?
I don't know. I think we need a new contract.
So we're reporting the channel Comcast is working, and if you can double check the Vimeo and the YouTube feed. Getting confirmation that it's working, we'll continue to double check that. If you'd like me to continue with
Go
my
on. Yeah,
presentation.
I was just meaning specifically that link itself that's shown on there for the survey was not active when they would try to get into it.
Okay, I'll double check that as well,
Thank
but
you.
we definitely want more input on that, so we'll make sure that that works.
My wife watches this at home. 1023 is working, but she can't hear me, and Vimeo is not working.
Can we confirm the sound on channel 23? YouTube will be available, and Vimeo will be available after the fact for sure, and people can also log in through Zoom. I'll continue with the presentation while they're working on troubleshooting.
Right. Yeah, there's one to listen.
So just a few more updates of what's coming up. We are moving into the fall and winter season of the special events. We have had a busy spring and summer. So the first one will be coming up on August 27th, which is the Wilson Windmills Car Show, which is technically still summer. And then, of course, we'll be looking forward to the Danish Days coming back after 2 years, which will be on September 16 and 18. And then we have a new event being proposed for the Hispanic Heritage Month celebration on October 10th, which is being proposed for Solvang Park. That's a new event, so it will be coming through the TAC and the City Council for approval. You have already authorized the annual Salute to Veterans event on the 12th of November, so we're working with them actively right now to make that happen. And then, of course, we have in December, the entire month of December, starting from Thanksgiving and finishing with the tree burn in early January, the celebration of Yulefest. Yulefest is an event that was produced by the city over the last couple of years, so we are working with the Tourism Advisory Committee. There is a Yulefest committee that's been formed who will be working on the program, and we are also acquiring an events manager. So all of that is in the works, and we'll be moving forward. For the advanced calendar, I just want to focus on the upcoming meeting, which would be August 22nd, that we will be talking about the parking in lieu regulations for your policy direction, which was requested by the council before. We'll also be bringing to you results of the Downtown Plaza Community Workshop and the results to get your general policy direction, which will be incorporated into the general plan update. We'll also be coming back to you with some revisions and additional analysis for the drought regulations resolution. And finally, we'll be coming back to you with what you had requested at last council meeting, which is developing some recommendations for grants or waiver of fees for special events, and also a couple of clarifying additions to the permitting process for special events. So that will be the program for next time, and that concludes my report.
All right, thank you very much. Are there any comments regarding the city manager's reports or questions?
Was it October 10th on the, thank you, Mr. Mayor, was it
Yes.
October 10th on the
Hispanic?
Correct, yes, October 10.
Yes.
a weekday celebration?
That,
Monday.
that's what I saw on the permit, but I'll double check.
Do you think it might be a weekend?
I was
She's
working with the
questioning it.
with the permit that I was reviewing this morning. So October 10th is the date that was listed on there,
Right.
but well.
Maybe they picked Columbus Day for a reason.
It's actually Indigenous Peoples' Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, 1978, my planner. Shoot. I gotta catch up.
Thank you, Councilmember Clark. Keeping some levity in our city manager's report. I don't have any questions? None?
General comments.
Moving on to general comments, council comments. Anyone have any comments?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Infante.
Big surprise, huh? All right, first, according to the text that I just got, the live video link says the meeting has not started yet. One of the comments that I'd like to make, so in the latest water bill, I got this nifty statement that doesn't make much sense to me. And so I need to ask a bunch of questions about this. First off, it says that the new rates are going to take place August 5th, but my bill, right here, says that the period that I got billed for ended on the 27th. So what's going to happen for a week? Are we going to have an old rate for a week and then new rates starting 3 weeks later? We're going to do 2 meter readings?
So the new rates would apply as of the August billing cycle.
Okay, that's not what it says. It says August 1st. Additionally, in here, you've got a couple of things, there's a couple of things in here that I don't understand. First off, if you look at the graph, on the bottom, on the consumption charges, it listed 0 to 15 CCF. What does CCF stand for?
It's, I'm going to draw a blank on this, but it's the same as
Essentially,
We're
it's
HCF.
billed on HCF, hundreds of
It's
cubic
it's the
feet.
same. It's just a slightly different terminology.
Slightly different as in wrong?
No, it's not wrong.
Oh, okay.
Hundreds of cubic feet versus centum cubic feet.
Versus what?
Centum cubic feet?
Centum?
Correct.
Oh, that's interesting. I've never heard that. It's not the way it's billed, so I would be really confused about why that's that way.
That was methodology that the water rate consultant was using throughout all of the reports.
Well, it'd be nice if it was defined for the residents that are reading this thing and trying to figure out what it says. The benchmark year is not described in here, but it says 0 to 90% of the usage compared with the same month in the benchmark year. What is the benchmark year?
The benchmark year that was established by your resolution was calendar year 2019-2020.
But again, it's not stated in here, so the people that are reading this have no idea.
We are working on clarifications for that particular distribution that will be going out on both website this week and then with the next utility bill. There is a mention of the benchmark here, but it may be a little bit confusing for people to follow which benchmark year applies to which restrictions.
Yeah. But we're going to start billing and fining people based on a benchmark year and some other information that's not defined in this document that we sent to the residents.
So
Is
that
what I'm hearing?
document is basically a lot of copy and paste from the resolution that was presented to you and which was adopted. It's that same language, but we are working on some FAQs and additional graphic materials to help people interpret that information.
If I could add to that,
Please.
I would suggest that should never have gone out if we can't clarify that. And I've had several people come into my office holding that exact same form, asking me to explain it for them, and it's confusing.
Thank you. I agree. It's confusing. I think it was poorly done, for one. And it is confusing. And the part of this, I mean, it's wonderful to say we're going to send out some more information on it, but the building is going to change immediately. But you're not going to stretch the date that we're going to change the building with the penalties. You're just going to define it differently.
Well, the definition is already defined by your ordinances and by your
That's not what you're
resolution.
telling the people, though. The people don't listen to this, as much as I hate to say that. Not everybody watches the city council meeting, in spite of the fact that I'm getting messages it's not working anyway. And it's not defined here.
So let's clean
Let's,
that up.
we can get that cleaned up. We'll move on.
I
Any
will.
other?
Thank you.
Did you have any?
No, but that's a good point. Let's clean that up. And if you guys all
Try to-
have a suggestion on what we can explain to residents that bring that to our attention right now, I'm all ears.
So should we bring this to the next council meeting and talk about what it should look like?
So that we can all explain it better to the constituents.
Yeah,
It's
it'd be
part of our
nice.
job.
Yeah,
And
thank
I don't like it when they come into my office and I can't answer their question, pretty much 90% of the time. Okay, aside from that, I would like to be a little bit more well-versed in what people bring to me, so I agree with you, let's put that on the,
Can we, does everybody
we
agree?
get a third, we get a fourth,
Put that on the next meeting?
yeah,
I
Please.
agreed, and it's actually already on the advance calendar.
all right,
Thank you.
we're good. I have no comment.
Any other comments or questions? I just had a few. I'll try to keep my PSA short there, Councilmember Clark. Just coming up events that we have, Music in the Park, August 10th, from 5 to 8 right here in Solvang. We have this coming Thursday on the 11th, a first preview of the new Solvang Theater Fest. So there's a community appreciation night where if you go to, or at this point, pcpa.com pcpa.org, and you can request some tickets. You'll get complimentary 2 tickets, but it's probably limited. So, I mean, it is limited, obviously, because of the seating. And so if you are interested in that, go right ahead and grab those. That would be for this coming Thursday, the kind of premiere show. It's Into the Woods, which will be premiering or playing from August 11th through September 4th. And then after that, we'll have Native Gardens here, which will start September 9th through the 17th. And again, pcpa.org or 805-922-8313 is where you can get tickets for that. This coming Saturday, Hidden Wings, which is our little treasure right here in downtown Solvang on Atterdag, serving the folks, and I don't want to say kids, but young adults after they graduate high school for the most part on the autism spectrum. And they are having a Hidden Treasures sale and a fundraiser for them this coming Saturday from 8:30 to 2 at the Vets Hall. So try to get out there to support them. And also Sunday, August 14th from 11 a.m. to 4, the second annual Summer Family Day at the Wildling. It's free admission, ferry visit, eco glitter tattoos, rock painting. I love the glitter tattoos. Art activities and more at the Wildling. And let's see if we can get out there to support that museum as well. I know we hear a lot about Elverhoy, and we have some really nice museums here in Solvang, so get out there and support them as best you can, especially if you have a family. They love those little things and the crafts that they offer for the kids. Lastly, I'll just bring up the food bank. I only have numbers from the one from 2 weeks ago, and they served 175 households. No individual numbers, but that was it. And again, for Mr. Rivera, Nick, thank you for your service to the city of Solvang, and we are actively working on negotiations. So hopefully we can keep all the employees here in Solvang. Moving on. Moving on to the consent items. Don't need to read them, but is there anyone here that would care to or have any questions or any items that they want pulled from the consent agenda item?
Yes.
Okay, Mayor Pro Tem Infante.
The draft, excuse me, the draft of the notes from the last meeting. So if you look on page 11, under item number 10, it says Mayor Uhrig and Mayor Pro Tem Infante stated they would not support funding for the veterans or the pride parades. I don't believe we said that. Did we? No. So I think that's an error that I'd like to see removed. That's all. Page
11.
11.
I would suggest on this one, just tabling the minutes, and we'll come back at the next meeting with clarification.
You want to do that? Okay. Is there any other items? So we'll pull that item, bring it back next week, next time. So that would be B. What was that? Is that right? 4B.
No, B is closed session. Oh, and
It's both.
He's doing it to us again.
All right, so is there any questions related to any items on this other than the one we're going to pull, 4B? If I,
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda minus item 4B, which will be brought up at the next meeting.
is there a second?
I'll second it.
Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilmember Clark?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Infante?
Yes.
Councilmember Arona?
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas?
Yes.
Mayor Uhrig?
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. All right, I'm going to move on to blank page. Moving on to, there's no public hearing, so moving on to regular business items. Item number 5. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title?
Presentation from the Santa Barbara County Fire Chief on fire services and intent to upgrade capital infrastructure, including upgrades to the Solvang Fire Station. Receive a presentation from the Santa Barbara County Fire District on fire services and intent to upgrade the fire station.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I'm going to introduce our Fire Chief, Mark Hartwig here, who is the Fire Chief for the district that we are part of, which covers a lot of the Santa Barbara County. If you'd like to come up. The reason that this presentation is here today is because we've been having some discussions about the fire district's goal on the capital improvement program and the priority of our fire station specifically. We also don't get much of an opportunity to interact as a community and council, and even staff to some degree, with who is our fire chief, because he is covering a much larger area, but we do meet quarterly. And I thought this would be a great opportunity for him to be introduced to you and the community and to give us a little bit of an update on kind of the highlights of fire conditions for solving and what we're looking for going forward.
Thank you, Madam City Manager and members of the council. It's good to see you. And for those of you that I haven't met, it's good to meet you. And for those of you that haven't said hi to for a while, it's hello. So maybe as a way of introduction, we meet regularly. So every month, Ms. Bradford and I meet and just catch up on things that are going on in the district and things that she's got going on in the city. As part of the county fire department or the county fire district, we really, our goal is to provide you the benefit of that regional service delivery, those resources that a city, a smaller city, couldn't afford, but have that accountability to the local community. So tap into the resources that we have available at the county fire district, but then make sure that we're meeting regularly with the cities we serve. And of course, in the district, we serve the cities of Goleta, Solvang, and Buellton as part of the county fire district. What that means is that we actually take a portion of your property taxes to provide service. We don't operate under a contract with the city. We take property taxes, and in exchange for those property taxes, we provide service. We're still your fire department. And so the regular interaction that I have with the city manager and you when it's called for, and access is important. That said, you have a station right here. In fact, you probably hear them sometimes upstairs. There's signs up there as I have seen that says, you know, City Council in session, don't stomp on the floor or something, or keep it down or something like that. You have the fire crew here as well as our duty battalion chief. So as you know, in the valley here, we have access to the stations out of Santa Ynez, here in Solvang, and of course in Buellton. If they need to come any further than that, they're coming from Mission Canyon, and they're coming from Los Alamos, and from down the hill, and then from the Orchid area, Sisquoc. Again, access to those regional services. Of course, our Firehawk is stationed right here at the airport in Santa Ynez. That's proven to be a very valuable resource for wildland firefighting, and has proven itself already in this fire season since it's been up.
If you could
Yes, go ahead.
speak as closely to the microphone,
Yeah.
it's challenging for our tall guests.
I'll do that, thank you. So as part of the fire district's responsibility to provide service and the station or the equipment that we operate in and from, that's a fire district responsibility. What we know in the fire district is we have 16 stations and a headquarters building. Out of those 16 stations, 13 of those 16 stations are 50 years or older. And 3 of those 13 that are 50 years or older are older than 60 years. We have no fewer than 3 surveys done by consultants that basically say we need to start planning for the replacement of those stations. We've never taken it to the extent of getting a capital plan. In other words, what exactly is our need, and then how do we finance it? So we're doing that now. We've hired Citygate. We expect that we'll get a mid-report, halfway report probably in the next month and a half, and then a full report done somewhere November or December. What we've already heard from Citygate specifically related to the city of Solvang is that they will likely recommend a standalone station. They will likely recommend a station here in town, but not part of this building. For a couple different reasons, but one is the upgrades that would need to be made for this building would probably be more expensive than building a new station. The challenge to that is, of course, is staying in town. And so we're going to work with Citygate, and I'll work with Ms. Bradford as we get more information from Citygate. But I wanted to put that on your radar. Well, it won't just be a Solvang issue. This is a county fire district-wide, as I shared those numbers with you earlier. A couple other pretty exciting developments and projects that are occupying a lot of our time down at headquarters are the move to a regional dispatch center, fire rescue and EMS. Every city and district within the county have committed to joining a regional fire rescue and EMS dispatch center. That sounds simple. It isn't done in any county that I know of. At all 58 in the state of California has every fire rescue and EMS provider joined a regional communication center. And what does that mean? It simply means that when we need more resources than we have, we don't pick up the phone and call a city and hope that we can get somebody on the other line, or they can get a hold of somebody and then ask whether or not they have something available for us. We're sending the closest, most appropriate resource regardless of jurisdiction. It will be a closest resource model. And I think that says a lot about the cooperation that's currently present right now in the county within the fire rescue and EMS side of the public safety business. And we're really looking forward to that. That's been approved. We have signed contracts from those cities and districts. We're starting construction. Haven't broken ground yet, but we have started some construction without the official groundbreaking. It will be at the EOC there at right next to the education office and headquarters building right off at Cathedral Oaks and 154. That's very exciting. And then the other exciting project now is the ambulance service in the county of Santa Barbara is going to go to bid. It is roughly a $75 million annual exclusive contract for the provision of ambulance service, both emergency and non-emergency, within the county of Santa Barbara. That contract has never been put to bid. The board decided in October of 2019 and directed the Public Health Department and of the county to hire a consultant and put it to bid. It is now on the streets and out to bid. Bidders conference will be this week. Presentations will be in the first week of October, and the board will award the contract, a 10-year contract, first of its time ever in this county, on November 1st at the board meeting. We do plan, the county fire department does plan to use its existing infrastructure, personnel, supervision, and everything else that the taxpayers pay for to bid that contract. We believe that there is significant revenue available after expenditures to reinvest back in the community for programs, mental health, co-response programs, and more ambulances on the street. And we believe we would have better local accountability. I don't want to give you our whole bid. That'll be presented in October, but we're excited. That will be in partnership with every other fire district and city within the county as well as the labor groups within the county. So this has been a lot of work for a long time, started in October of 2019 when the board made the decision, and it's culminating now, and we're really excited about that. That's all I have. I'm open to any questions, comments that you have. It's good to see you, and hope I can answer some of your questions.
Councilman Thomas.
It's not a question, it's a comment. Congratulations on getting the unified communications. We tried that in 1993 and had a couple of holdouts with a smaller agency, so I'm glad to see that that's been passed. It's made sense for a long time.
Thanks, sir.
Glad to see it's coming.
So, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Councilmember Clark.
So the county is going to bid against 3 or 4, whoever, AMR will still bid, correct?
There was an intent to bid requirement, so we had 4 providers put in an intent to bid. That was the county fire department, AMR Falk, which is another large ambulance company, and a company called Priority Ambulance.
And those are all for-profit companies?
Those are all for-profit companies,
Okay.
That's correct.
And with the county, obviously it'd be the taxpayers investing in it, and you feel like you're going to be as competitive as the private. Usually when anything goes to the government, it gets more expensive.
Yeah.
You're going to be competitive with these groups as well. I would love to keep this in-house. I'd love to keep, if you want to call it in-house, in-county, and have us share that responsibility with you, as opposed to paying it for somebody else that's making money off of us. I think it's a great fit. I have other cities and counties done this as well?
Yes, there are other counties now looking at it, and then there is another county just within the last 5 years who bid the contract and then partnered with a private ambulance company. So what they did is essentially subcontract with a private, and then they negotiated a unit hour rate or a cost that did generate more money to come back into the community. I will tell you, without giving you too much of what our bid is, we also went out for a private partner in a bid, and we received 1 response back on that bid for somebody that was interested in bidding with us. So I won't share the punchline, but we're analyzing their bid against what our unit hour cost would be. And I think, along your question, I think it's important to state, the taxpayers have invested in us. I mean, we don't give dividends in cash, but we do give dividends in service. And ambulance services within this county are really the only part of the service delivery that you rely on us for, emergency medical care. 7 out of 10 times that the community of Solvang picks up the phone and calls 911, it's for a medical emergency. They get paramedic care from our fire engine, and then we wait for an ambulance company. Sometimes the ambulance company's there first, sometimes we wait for them. But the ambulance part of the EMS business is the only thing that gets reimbursement. So the community invests in the service, but the only reimbursement associated with anything in EMS, which really is an opening for the private providers throughout the state and the country.
And they do very, very well.
Yes, absolutely. The question is, can we, using that same infrastructure that the community invests in, can we do that competitively? And because we're already providing so many of those services, to include first response EMS, in the county fire department, we provide ambulance transport in 3 of our areas, Cuyama, Mission Hills, and UCSB as well. So we're familiar with the business. So it has challenged us to be more competitive. And so we'll make that presentation. We'll make a pitch that says we're better, a more competitive option than the privates.
And obviously I can't pin you down, but you believe that this new method could really save the taxpayers some money?
Absolutely. What it will do is it will improve service. In other words, we'll add units to the street. There's enough money to do that. And at the same time, we will be able to invest in programs that the county's been talking about.
And it'll be more coordinated probably too,
Yeah,
correct?
more integrated with our dispatch and other providers as well, first responders.
All right, thank you. You've answered my questions.
Mayor Pro Tem Infante, go ahead.
Pardon me. And I'm going to try and talk very loud because this is not broadcasting over the Channel 23 and some of the other stuff. I'm curious about several parts of the proposal. So rather than updating the current fire department, you want to build another building to house the services, the vehicles, and the gentlemen that work it, ladies as well, I presume. My understanding is it's an interest in parking lot 5 right across the street. What would happen to this building?
We haven't really gotten that far. So what we know is that Citygate is likely going to recommend that we have a standalone a building in town. Our interest is to have it in town.
That would make a lot of sense. I understand that. One of the questions is we have, the city owns a lot over on Mission near Alamo, Pintado, and 154. That it's bigger and would give you, I would think, greater access, immediate access to Highway 154. But I have heard that's not of interest to the fire department.
We wish we could be right downtown. So any distance we move away from town and closer to one of the other fire stations, the less interest we have. With that said, if we can't have it here, that's why we said across the street's really nice, because that's as close as we can get to here without being here. That is on the table, though. I mean, if we follow the recommendation by Citygate, and they haven't even made the final recommendation, but we believe they're going to recommend that we have a standalone facility. If we follow that recommendation, then we will have to find a location. I've mentioned that to Ms. Bradford, that it's kind of on our radar. She's been kind of passing on, just lots as they come to mind. So it's really kind of a fact-finding and searching business right now. We want to work with you. That's the key. The key is we want to make sure that our solution is a solution for the city as well.
Well, thank you for that, but I have to assume that we're much better served if you're in a location that makes the most sense. Centrally located, I'm sure, makes more sense than being out on the outside. I don't know what it takes to get a fire truck or ambulance out of this building and out to the outskirts of town. Have no idea. I'm sure you do. That's something that I would be very curious to see what that is. We've been trying to get that as a parking lot for years, and now you want to take it away. So it's not our first choice, if I may say that. Let me put it another way. It's not my first choice.
There you go.
Sorry. I have to make that personal. I don't know what the rest of these folks think. So that was the brunt of the question. Where, why?
Yeah.
can it be any place, or does it have to be in the center?
Let's chew it up and ruminate on it for a little bit. So that's the idea, right, of me coming to you and telling you that we're looking at it. There's a study being done right now. We believe they're going to recommend a standalone building. We know there's a couple options out there. We know, and I've already heard from your city manager that there are some that are more desirable than others, and we're going to. My commitment to you is I'm not going to come into a meeting one day and say, sorry, I know you don't want it, but right, we're your fire department, and so we're gonna work with you. I will say we love being part of downtown here, and of course with the traffic that you get here and the number of people we have in the buildings, it's the right place to be. So that's why I don't want to go as any further out than we have to, but I understand that might be a necessity.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
Just a lot of this is going to come out in the reports when they have the consultants do
Yeah.
all this, so we'll wait to see the next step.
So I just wanted to confirm, so you guys are consolidating all fire and EMS. So dispatch center will no longer be where it's at now, will be
Yeah,
at the EOC
all fire, rescue, and EMS dispatch for the entire county
for the entire county.
will go to a
Cathedral
new
Road.
center, which would right next to essentially the EOC.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons that building was
Yeah.
constructed.
Let's talk about it.
Now that's a 25-year building already?
Worked on it long before I got here. I'd like to say, we're doing it, but really, this was an effort, as the chief says, this was an effort that's been going on for many, many years, and I think I'm fortunate to come in when it came to fruition, but
Yep. Look good. All right, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Council. If I may just clarify real quick where we are with this process from our city perspective. Obviously, you heard the plans that the fire department and the county are working on. This will be a process that will take some time as they work through their funding strategies and moving this process forward. So this is not something that's happening immediately. So the staff's recommendations at this point is for us to continue to invest in parking lot 5 as planned. So the pavement, the charging stations would continue to go in. And even when we reach that point of negotiation, some number of years down the line, those costs would just have to be considered by the city and the county through that process.
All right. Thank you. We'll take it out for public comment at this time. Is there anyone in-house wishing to speak on this particular item? Seeing none, bring it out to Zoom, and I'm not seeing any on Zoom either. So public comment is closed now, and no further action at this point. So moving on to item number 6. Madam Clerk?
Poll options to receive public input regarding customer satisfaction with city services. Receive a report on poll options to receive input regarding customer satisfaction with city services.
Staff report, please.
Thank you. I'll present, and before I do, just want to double check or mention on options to view. The YouTube channel has been working all night today. The Vimeo link has been fixed now on our website, if anybody wants to use that, and have reports that the city channel cable is working. So that's where we are at the moment.
That's not what I have residents texting me about. They're saying they can't hear me or anybody at the podium.
And we did switch out your mic, so it is
So
a
it's
new
the
mic.
line, not the microphone.
We'll continue to double check on that with the Comcast, but all of the mics come into one mixer and then are transmitted to Comcast. And Comcast has reported that they're receiving a good signal, but we'll continue to work with them on that. The presentation here today is at the request of council from your general direction to bring back an item to study or consider some polling options or customer survey satisfaction options for the city to be part of the city's sort of review of its operations and planning processes. So I just want to remind you that we actually sort of have done already some of this through the work efforts of moving forward with the sales tax measure, where a poll of residents was conducted by a professional firm that conducts polls. And we received some of the results. For example, the slide you see now is satisfaction with provisions of the city services. So you will see that based on this, 73.8% are generally satisfied, with 21.1 being dissatisfied. Representative Infante?
Question, please. How many people were in the poll?
This poll was based off of a sample of 200 people.
Okay. And second, if you put that back up on the screen, you'll notice that down on the bottom where it says total satisfied, it says November of 2022. Why is that? And then down in the below right-hand corner, it says June of 2022.
The correct date is June. Thank you for noticing that. November 22, I think, is probably referring to the fact that this was done for the local measure. So in that sense, it made sense. It was data for moving forward with the measure. All right, moving on to the next slide. This was satisfaction with the city's management of public funds. You have 60.7% generally satisfied. And then another metric that was looked at was favorability rating of how the city is addressing COVID-19, and that was at 80% of generally favorable. So as you consider whether or not you would like to have as part of your city planning, city operations, city management programs, sort of this check-in with the community through satisfaction survey, it can be done via two ways. One would be just a survey, which a lot of jurisdictions do too, which is just distributed and is available to the community, and obviously it's not as scientific as a poll, as you get the response from those who are probably more engaged and want to give you the response. But that is included in your staffing costs, and there is no additional cost to that. If you would like to do a more scientific poll, which uses statistics and the social research, you would be looking at a consultant. That is not something that staff is equipped to perform at that level of expertise. And there would be some kind of cost with that. The cost would differ based on the size of the sample, as well as the number of questions at hand that you would like to be studied. Overall, satisfaction surveys are a useful tool for a community to periodically have a check-in with the community. Given that we are on a 2-year financial planning cycle, which is best practice, it's also recommended that if you wanted to have a community satisfaction type of process, that we would do that at the beginning of the 2nd year of the financial plan. So, for example, as we were moving forward towards this financial plan development, there was a survey done prior to making recommendations to you. You then held your goal-setting session, and the financial plan was adopted. Now we'll be working on those programs throughout this year, and at the beginning of next fiscal year, we could have a check-in with the community to see if your goals and our work is responding to their priorities. And then that will inform the next 2-year financial plan development, which will be starting a year and a half from now, that winter. So that would be the best recommendation as far as timing for having a satisfaction survey. But if you wanted to invest now and have some answers, we could also continue to work on sort of diving further on the question than what was done as part of the sales tax measure, and just start to dive into specific services through a polling option, the satisfaction with quality of life, the gauging importance and satisfaction with city services and facilities, satisfaction with the city's provision of services and management of public funds, satisfaction with specific areas of service such as preference for communications, recreation services, maintenance of public facilities, tourism management. All of those questions could be investigated. We will also be able to, if we do a scientific poll, to identify the differences in opinions due to demographic and/or voter behavior characteristics. So those are some of the options that you have in front of you. You can provide with general direction today of what you would like to see, and we'll come back with more specific recommendations or costs.
Go ahead, Councilmember Thomas.
You know, we have another option too. I'm not going to support spending money on this. You know, that's what elections are for. And that's what public comments are for. And that's what emails to us personally that we get all the time are for. At a time that we're struggling with budget and trying to keep everything going, I just don't see putting funds into this.
I think the results from the satisfaction surveys that we sent out for beginning the budget planning and council goal setting were sufficient. I'm all for not giving any more money to consultants. I know that these methods are imperfect, but the option is there for people to submit their input if they want to. So,
Councilmember Clark, do you have any comment?
Just hearing the tail end of not giving money perked me up, and I agree. And I joke, but I'm not joking. I'm okay with tightening the reins and
DIY.
If I may ask, what was the cost of the survey that we did for the tax and or this one that you just presented right now?
$26,000.
Wow. Okay.
And out of that, we got 200 respondents.
That was a set sample.
So any final questions? Otherwise, I'll take it out to public comment right now. Is there anyone in-house wishing to speak on this particular item? Seeing none, bringing it back. There's no one out in Zoom at this time, so bring it back for discussion and action, or no action.
Yeah, I recommend no further action on this item.
Is there a second on that?
I'll second that.
Roll call, please.
Now, roll call yes will be that there not be any further action, correct?
Thank you for clarifying.
Correct.
Councilmember Clark,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Infante,
Yes.
Councilmember Arona,
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Mayor Uhrig.
Yes.
Motion passes 5-0.
All right. We sure we had that right?
Yes is for no action, and no would be for
There will be no
something
further
else.
action.
Moving on to item number 7. Madam Clerk, would you please read the title?
Grant funding policy modifications for fiscal year 23-24. Per council general direction, receive and approve an updated grant funding policy to be applied to fiscal year 23-24 supplemental budget development process.
So this item is in front of you based on some of the discussion that occurred at the last council meeting. There was a request to amend the grant funding policy to include veterans and minors with disabilities. Typically, council looks at this policy as part of the budget development, so it would normally come to you in the winter. But since you had made those comments, it's brought to you ahead of time, and I think that's good, as to allow those organizations to be aware that they may be available or eligible for grant funding with the next supplemental budget development. So what this policy does, or what's presented on page 86 and 87, is essentially the exact same policy as you had adopted for the current financial plan development, except that it adds under the policy on page 86, veterans and minors with disabilities, in addition to the focus and priority for the senior citizens. That is something that you can adopt today. In the alternatives, you will also notice that the City Council could elect to eliminate the grant funding from its budgeting process and either elect to fund certain organizations on ongoing basis or not fund. Processing any funding through the budget process internally will not limit the council's ability to eliminate such funding at their discretion, depending on the city's fiscal conditions at future date. So those are the choices in front of you. You can amend this policy and adopt, and it will be standing for the next financial plan, or you can think about amending the entire process.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions of this report
Comments?
and/or comments?
I have two comments, actually given to me by residents. One of them is right on the first paragraph of that policies and procedures. It says organizations that serve community residents. The suggestion is that should be altered to say Solvang residents. So it is narrowing it to our residents, the residents of this city, and not necessarily the widespread community of the valley. Okay, that was one suggestion. The other was down on item C, where it was added in. Priorities funding for seniors, veterans, minors with disabilities. It was suggested that it said services for minors. I'm not sure that I agree with that. That seems too broad of what a service for a minor is versus being specific to minors with disabilities. So I would bring that to the council to ask your opinions.
Well, think about maybe something like the Boys and Girls Club.
Oh, do I have comments?
Okay?
Go ahead.
I'm going to go back to, I think it's wonderful that people do what they do for other people and take the initiative. I don't think it's a responsibility of the taxpayers to fund somebody else's good deeds. I've said it a million times, and I would remove the services for minors out of this. We talked years ago about making our focus seniors and then a few grandfathered items. So I would hope that, I would rather see a line item in our budgets for Danish Days, 4th of July, and our seniors. But then, Councilmember Fonte, when you bring up Solvang versus community, the Buellton Senior Center, which is under a different name now, and it escapes me right now, services Solvang residents, as does the Solvang Senior Center services Buellton residents. So that's kind of a...
As does most charities, really, in the valley.
Yes, correct. I would admonish my fellow council members, though, like, for example, this council agreed to give Bethania $2,500 to give food to anybody who shows up from wherever. And so I would like to just eliminate all that grant funding, put the 3 or 4 priorities that we have in our budget annually, and then that makes it very, very clear to the residents, this is where the city of Solvang prioritizes tax dollars. So that's my take on this.
Well, when all we had pretty much was just funding for seniors, I think that's a little restricted, because I think that, seniors have needs, and especially young children that have disabilities have needs. How do you weigh one need versus the other? And the point is that it will come before this council. Nothing here is automatic, obviously. Every item would come to this council, and the council, whoever they may be at that time, will make their decisions whether that's something that they want to put their money in. And it also is going to depend on what, the financial condition of the city is at the time. We don't know that we're not going to have another COVID kind of thing. But it allows it. The way it was written did not allow us to step out. I think that's what my problem was. Not that you guarantee anything, but that you at least open the opportunity to make a decision.
And I agree with that, but not lumping it into this month of giveaways when we talk to all grants. If somebody has a specific need that is a benefit to the taxpayers and a benefit to the community, then put it on the agenda, bring it before the entire council to discuss, instead of making this big grant week or grant month that we've had over the past several years. I would like to get away from that.
I don't have a feeling one way or the other on that, as long as people have the opportunity to come and ask.
Well,
I'm sorry, I totally agree with you. That's what we're here for, to represent the residents' needs. And if there's something that's very pressing that's coming up, I'd love to hear it, and if we can, I'd love to help. And you brought up a good point about, depending on what our financial situation is at the time. Things are fluid, folks. So there's good things about all we're talking about right now, but I would just like to not make it this it's time to go ask the city of Salt Lake for money.
My concern with that approach would be that then you are opening it for every single city council meeting for people to come in and say, this is my project and this is how I would like it funded. And instead of having a streamlined process where everybody needs to submit their application by one time, and this is the timeline, and this is their requirements, and this is the time that staff is gonna staff on reviewing them. Now, you're opening the door for every single meeting for somebody to come and ask for money. So I think it makes sense to have one streamlined process rather than the open door for anybody to ask for grants at any given time. And, I understand our fiduciary duty, but on the other hand, I feel like it's not right to get rid of this program for the reason that being that Solvang's 50% of its budget comes from TOT, is that right? We dedicate a lot of infrastructure and a lot of the resources that this town has to cater to visitors, and we're always talking about how, we are encouraging overnight visitors because this is how we get most of our money. And then to get rid of this program and say this money is not available to residents when they need it, and instead of them having a voice to come and say, we would like to have this funded, now it's up to us, 5 people, or whoever 5 people is sitting here, to say, this is what's going to happen with this money that is raised from this enterprise that has taken housing away from residents because it is now used as weekend rentals. So I think if that industry has flourished, taking resources away from residents, then this program should also be available to give back. It's not an easy decision to take. It's always awful when you have to say, sorry, folks, but we are prioritizing these programs and there is not money for everybody, but at least the option is there.
Good comment. I just bring something else to the table. Is a lot of the cities that I was looking up during this time for this any type of grants, there's also a dollar limit on it as well. So you're not going to ask for 15,000. You're going to maybe ask for 2 or 1 or 2,500 or something such as that, because they set a limit so they're able to. Well, I guess a lot of it is because they're able to do more or give more grants out for more people, which I understand we're trying to maybe eliminate some of that, but I agree a lot with what Councilmember Arona is saying is, not all of this is on the backs of the residents. A lot of this is brought in by the tourists that are coming in here, especially with what we're going to be asking for coming up with a new TOT increase, possibly, if that works out. So, any other comments?
No, I kind of hate to codify it so much that it doesn't give you any wiggle room, depending upon what our finances are, depending upon what the situation is with the people that come forward. And that's what we're here for. We're here to listen at the time, and based on the information that we have and the fundings that we have, we make a decision. Yeah, and I think trying to, codify it so much that it puts you in a box is not productive.
I do like Councilwoman Arona comment that we should have a policy that establishes, rather than just letting people come up at every council meeting and ask for money, that there is a prescribed process to do that. I think this document does it fine. Like I said, those were a couple of comments I got from residents. Frankly, with this discussion, I'm fairly comfortable with leaving it the way it is and improving it, just like it is.
Any final comments or anything? Otherwise, I'll,
Decision's always going to be made by the council regardless of what this page says.
it's a guideline.
It's a guideline.
Yeah. All right. So if there's no other questions, I'll take it out for public comment. Anyone in-house wishing to speak on this particular item? I'm even smiling for that. Come on,
Show the
folks.
audience.
All right. Bringing it back for public comment. No one out in Zoom at this time. Where is it? Is there someone trying to get in? I can't see what's up in the top left.
There is nobody on Zoom.
Recording. Oh, okay. I thought it said receiving. I could see the R and the ing. Anyway, all right. So bringing it back for final comments and/or a motion to accept.
I move that we just go and adopt the policies and procedures recommendation on page 80 of the agenda.
I'll second that.
Second. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Clark.
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Infante.
Yes.
Councilmember Rona.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Mayor Heurig.
Yes.
Passes 4-1.
I should have known these.
You finally got your chance to say no.
I was almost going to join you, but I figured, better not.
Save it.
All right. I'll save it for a really important one like now. No. Moving on to item number 8, Madam Clerk, would you please read the title?
Designate voting delegates and alternates to the League of California Cities Annual Conference and Expo, September 7 through 9, 2022. Designate your voting delegates and alternatives to the League of California Cities Annual Expo and Conference and Expo, September 7 through 9, 2022.
Thank you. So this item is in front of you because there is a Cal Cities Conference coming up on September 7th through 9th of 2022. That's the annual conference. The league, we are members as a city of the League of California Cities, and they do ask us on annual basis to submit this form, which then designates a member of the council as delegated to vote on behalf of the city council. Originally, in December of 2020, you had appointed Councilmember Thomas as the delegate and Councilmember Clark as the alternate. I just wanted to make sure that this is in front of you to make sure that we know who is going to the conference and who you want to appoint at this time.
I think it's kind of useless for me to go because I'm on my way out. So I think it would be a waste of taxpayer money for me to attend any conference at this part of my tenure.
And I have already registered to go, as you're aware. I don't know about anybody else.
And my opinion would be that I like these conferences. I think they're valuable from a networking and an educational standpoint. However, if there's somebody else that would like to go or be an alternate to go, I'm more than happy to give up that for somebody who's not had the opportunity to do something like this.
Councilmember Rona. I thought you were going to say something. It
No,
looked like you
it's
were getting
just,
ready.
it's a great opportunity, but it's right after Burning Man, so.
After what?
Burning Man.
It's right after Burning Man, so.
Oh wait, that's my trailer park upgrade meeting too. I can't go either. I'm happy to go.
I'm going to cook for first
Maybe-
respondents.
Maybe let's have Mayor Pro Tem Infante be our designated one, and you still could be the alternate.
Yeah.
Are you going to go? So then,
Yeah, I would like to go. It's funny, I actually take vacation days to go to these conferences, so it actually costs me money. So it's got to be,
We don't mind.
yeah, I know, but it's got to be valuable. And I think these are very valuable for council members and representing communities to experience and interact with this kind of group. So I'd be happy to if nobody else wants to.
I make a motion that council members Clark and Infante represent us at the California League of California Cities Annual Conference and Expo, September 7th through 9.
With,
always wanted to
with
drive
Mayor
an Audi
Pro
SUV.
Tem Infante being the voting delegate first and Councilmember Clark being the alternate.
Amended.
That's fine.
You know, we're actually gonna have to listen to Dave when we're down there.
Oh, you're going? You're going?
He's speaking.
He's speaking. He's one of the trainers.
I'm the president of the city attorneys, so
Where is this meeting?
it's in Long Beach.
Oh, the convention center.
At the convention center,
Okay,
yeah.
got it.
I will have more of a, I would say, a ceremonial, because this will be my last meeting as the president of the city attorneys, so I'll be president, past president. But there's some good panels from the city attorney's legal track. I've also seen some of the panels on the non-legal track as well. It's always an opportunity that if you can go, you should really take it up, because it's like drinking from a fire hose, learning about municipal government. There's so much to learn, and you come back with great ideas, great contacts in other cities. Those of you who've been know exactly what it's about, but I do encourage it.
Have you ever been? I think the only one that's been has been Robert. I'm sorry.
I went last year.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
I went 2 years, 3 years, 2018, 19.
I've never been, so this is gonna be all new for me. I'm gonna get it to learn how to be
Yeah,
a mayor or
you're
something.
You're the COVID council. Yeah,
Yep. All right.
it's good events.
Do we have that motion?
Yeah.
We had a second?
Second.
All right. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Clark.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Infante.
Yes.
Councilmember Arona.
Yes.
Councilmember Thomas.
Yes.
Mayor Urick.
No.
4-1 gets you the new.
Motion
wait.
passes
That
4-1.
means we're both going, and he
Yes.
is the voting member.
He'll be the voting
Councilmember
delegate,
Frye is
yes.
the voting member. Great, great.
Yeah.
That's fine.
And with that, excellent. All right. With that, meeting is adjourned at 7:47.